Hello everyone. I'm coming back from the doctor's and I thought I would do this video about what makes me different than other women and other women my age. The first thing is I'm the oldest of 5 and I was expected to do things that primarily back in the 50s and 60s men were doing, or boys. I was not expected to do it. I did it because I loved it. I would be the one mowing the grass because my brother was born a lot later than me. I also was brought up around animals and chickens and rabbits and horses and cows, so I had that background as a country girl. Also, I spent a third of my life on a boat, on yachts and boats, any size you want to think of. I have spent a third of my life. I have many, many memories of being on a boat, fishing. I fished a lot in my life. I also spent a great deal of my life at the racetrack. Not the roundy rounds, but the straight drags. I've spent many a weekend at the straight drags, racing myself and watching my uncles race. Yeah. So that makes me a little bit different than other women. Also, a lot of women, like I did do some canning like other women. I had a garden and all that. But like I said, I would rather be at the racetrack or fishing or on a boat than behind the stove. I even excelled at baking and canning, but I just prefer to, do those other things. Also, what sets me apart a little bit is I've always been interested in like movie stars and music, and I think I was the only one in high school that didn't really get into the Beatles. I was into Jimi Hendrix and the Stones, and I know a lot of other girls were into the Beatles, but not me. And I've noticed also, since I was married for 4 decades, that a lot of men, gotta watch out, there's a cop up here. A lot of men would complain because, I was a deputy sheriff. Now that is probably one of the biggest separations from me and other women, is that I excelled at that. I would hear from men, because I worked with men most of my life, that men were always complaining about the loves in their life were not as forthcoming in the sack as they would want them to. And I kept thinking, where are these women and why are they like that? I was never like that. I have never said no to my husband. Never. I can guarantee you that. So I think that sets me apart. I didn't use sex as a tool. Like I heard that some women do that, and I just don't understand that. Why would you? Why would a woman do that? I made my own money and spent it on what I wanted, so it wasn't like I was going to gain anything from, giving it out sometimes. But yeah, if anybody was to read my yearbook, they all said the same thing. And this was even when I was a virgin. They all said, you are sexy. You're a sexy girl. You're a wild and crazy sexy girl. Crazy in a good way. And almost every one of my yearbooks has that in it. Yeah. So, yeah, those are the little ways that I am a little bit different than other women. And nowadays, I actually work with a girl who goes out and hunts with her dad, you know. Thank God that the women are opening up their lives to things that ordinarily, you know, 30 years ago, they wouldn't have done that. So I am glad. I remember begging my mother once to let me go play basketball with my uncles, and she looked at me like I was really strange, you know, like, why would you want to, you know? And yeah, even in high school, I got very mad, or was it junior high? I wanted to take shop. I wanted to learn how to use all those tools. And they adamantly said, no, you have to take home ec. I'm going, what? I thought, I even knew way back there in the 70s that life, I guess it was the late 60s, life was not very fair to women. Yeah. So later on in my life, I became very familiar with machinery. Now, by machinery, I mean tools to make a living by. You give me a stump grinder, I can make an easy $100,000 a year, right? If I wasn't disabled, because I've done it. I've done it before. And chippers, you know, and bucket trucks, hydraulics. I am very familiar with all that, and chainsaws. I mean, once my husband said, oh, you can't climb a tree, and I took his spikes and went way up in the tree, and I said, you want me to keep going? You know, I was not going to let anybody say, no, girls can't do that. And I am so glad that so many young ladies are in the math and science field. It's about time. I think I was born maybe 2 decades too early, and I did pave the way for many, many women in the law enforcement because I was sexually discriminated against. They hired a motorcycle mechanic when I already had 2 years under my belt with the police department. And yeah, I took this up with the Equal Opportunity Employment Commission. 6 years later, the Federal Justice Department takes my case for free, and I won. Now, I didn't win any monetary things. I was supposed to get my retroactive seniority and pay, but I said no. I had already gone on to another career. So a lot of people say, oh, I'm the jack of all trades. No. I am not the jack of all trades. Well, maybe I am. I started out in, restaurant. Then I went to the police department, and then I went to be a sole proprietor. And I don't think that's too many careers. I enjoyed every one of them. Yeah, so this is what sets me a little different than the other women. A lot of them are content sitting on a couch behind the TV. I haven't had TV in, I guess, two years. I don't miss it one bit. I want to do things. I want to have projects. And yes, I do suffer with back pain, and I've been wanting to do a video about my spinal fusion. I was wondering if my pain would be lessened if I had all the hardware taken out of my back. I have 6 very long screws in my back, and they dig into me. Like right now, I can feel 2 of them digging into my skin, and that's not good. And I was just wondering if the fusion, of course, was 8 years ago or 9 years ago. Does that mean it took? Does that mean I can take the hardware out? Or I think it's meant to be in there forever. So if any of y'all can shed some light on this, I'm very, very interested in knowing this, because I think half of my pain is from the hardware itself now. So you all have a good day, and thanks for listening to me, and hit that subscribe button. My next goal is to hit 10,000, and I'm only a short way away.